with that all being taken into account, we move forward here over to the Kraken segment. And for a while, we haven't had these sort of ups and downs sort of weeks, but we do once again with this past week. We grow closer and closer to the NHL's trade deadline, and people are stressed out. I don't blame you. We have some news regarding some rumors around the NHL trade deadline, so we'll get into that. But first, we got into the games, of course, that the team played over the past week. So following that road trip this past week that ended up in those big wins over the Islanders and over the Bruins, who the team will see this upcoming week, the Kraken began a 6-game homestand with a... So we start off things on Monday, February 19th versus the Detroit Red Wings. That was Lunar New Year night as the Kraken celebrated, I believe it was the third of the specialty-themed nights. This was tough. It was a day game. It was a 12:30 start. The Kraken lose this one 3-4 in overtime. Each time... well, not each time. I should start that a different way. The Red Wings were able to score to go ahead. The Kraken were able to answer each time. That's where I was trying to go with that. The Kraken were able to answer each time, but ultimately they were not able to pull ahead to gain an advantage and pull away from Detroit into this one. The Kraken generated a lot in terms of volume and in terms of quality, but they weren't able to convert enough, and ultimately they lose in overtime. There was someone who did throw a dead octopus on the ice, so there was that. We'll put our photo of the game on the screen here, and is also our player of the game for Jared McCann. McCann, 2 goals, 2 points, a 1+-, and 6 shots on the night for Canner. We continue that theme in the February 22nd game. So, you lose that one in overtime. It's frustrating. You do get the point, but considering the amount that you're able to generate in terms of volume and quality, you really should have won that one. So you try to wipe away that frustration. It's a big game against the Vancouver Canucks. Pacific Division wise, and in terms of you're trying to still push yourself into the wild card race in the Western Conference, and the Kraken were able to pull out a big 5-2 win in this one. Our player of the game, Jared McCann, once again, he's not our photo of the game. It's Jordan Eberle, but I couldn't pass up this photo here by Rio Giancarlo. We'll get to Jordan yep. We'll get to Eberle in a second. But Jared McCann, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points, a 3+-, and 3 shots. 4 points in a game ties the Kraken franchise record. And it was just another great game for Jared McCann. We'll talk about him in a second. But Jordan Eberle had a 3-point night as well, 2 goals and 1 assist in this game. And this great photo by Rio. It got a lot of traction online. I don't blame him. Truthfully, I don't blame folks for looking at that one. So I'll let you look at that a little bit more before we go over to the next game here. So here we go. February 24th versus the Minnesota Wild was a 2-5 loss. This was a big game on Saturday, a big Saturday night showdown, because the Wild are a team that, the Kraken are looking to pass in the wild card race from where they are now. So, normally a win is 2 points. This is a 4-point swing just because, if you win either team, you add 2 points to your own total, but you also effectively take 2 points off the table for another team, in this wild card chase. The Kraken, this was just a really hard game to watch, truthfully. I mean, the Wild put up 5 unanswered goals after the Kraken scored first. Just 30 seconds into it, Vince Dunn had a shot go in with some traffic in front. It was all good vibes. The Kraken were wearing their Winter Classic jerseys, as you can see here in this celebration photo after that first goal. It was great. They got the Winter Classic jerseys out. They'll wear them again later in March. The building felt great. It was rocking Saturday night. And then the Wild scored 5 unanswered goals. It's just a really frustrating one. Seattle played sloppy and undisciplined, despite what some fans on Twitter want to tell me, blaming every single call on the refs. No, Seattle got frustrated, and they let that frustration pull into the game. They play a Wild team that's been converting on the power play at a 30% plus clip over their past 12 games, and you give them 6 power play opportunities, and they're going to hurt you. They converted on 2 of those 6 power plays, so they kind of continue with that 30% margin, and even better. It's just foolish, and Joey Daccord started this game. I was thinking that Grubauer would start this game and you give Joey the Boston game, but that's not what took place. Joey did get pulled after, I believe it was the 4th goal. Yes, the 4th goal This game wasn't on Joey, though. Just the Kraken put him in bad situations, with those power plays. There were a few 5-on-3 opportunities, and even in 5-on-3, especially against a good team on the man advantage, they can even be obviously a lot even better with the 2-man advantage. So this was just a frustrating one overall, especially frustrating considering the fact, that you could have gone ahead, in the wild card race and gained some ground with St. Louis losing on the same day too. So all around a frustrating game. We go over to our player of the game here, and our player of the game, as you can see on your screen with that photo, shares our frustration, is Jared McCann. McCann had a great week. I mean, over the past 3 games, 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points, a 6+-, 12 shots, 1 hit, and he was 5 for 5 on faceoffs over those 3 games. So really happy with Jared McCann. I mean, we've talked about McCann throughout the course of his time with the Kraken. And throughout the time that the Kraken have existed, I really like being able to use my Winter Classic banner here. It's great. I love the colors. It's Jared McCann has been huge for this franchise, frankly, since being taken in the expansion draft. Whether it was his 40-goal season last year, the things he was able to do in year 1, the leader he's been, the impact he's made this year, of course, as well. Jared McCann will go down as a legend in this team's history, and probably the first legend in this team's history, quite frankly. I mean, there are a few players as well who are making their impacts. Vince Dunn's been great for this team throughout the course of his time here. Philip Grubauer is the first goaltender really for this team, and has gotten a lot of strife, but was huge in their playoff run last year and was probably the reason they went as far as they did in a good way last year in the playoffs. So, Joy DeCord's making his own case as well. Adam Larson's got his Ironman streak. There are a few guys, but just considering, how much Jared McCann wants to win and how much he means to this fan base, that determination says a lot, and that's why I think, when I think of guys who, will earn the most respect and potential, honors after he retires, and maybe even a guy that's a Kraken for life, I think of Jared McCann. So that's that. I won't get too emotional here for you. So we'll continue with other team. I guess we'll look at the games. Yeah, it's a frustrating week, just because of the Detroit game. You had overtime. You probably shouldn't have gone to overtime considering the chances that you generated. You look at Vancouver, you take care of business there. Good. Can't complain about that one, really. And then there's a Minnesota game where you just looked outclassed after that first goal. You looked outclassed, outplayed, led astray, sorry, Stephen A. Smith reference. You just looked like you got burned, and that just can't happen. The sense of urgency wasn't there. You didn't play up to your potential. You let things, you let the other team frustrate you and take advantage of that frustration in your own building. And at this point in the season, there's no, we can wipe this away. We can learn from this. You shouldn't have to learn from this. You should be better than this. If you want to truly make the playoffs, you want this group to stay together, you don't want guys to get traded away, you play better than this. You earn that respect. You earn that ability to try and make the playoffs with this group. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. And this group isn't earning that right now. And I don't know if they'll earn that. So we move over here with some team-related notes, and it discusses sort of what I mentioned with those rumors with the trade deadline. On the 23rd, Elliot Friedman of Hockey Night in Canada spoke a little bit on the Kraken and their potential players moving around ahead of the deadline. He believes that the Kraken will do their best to re-sign Jordan Eberle regardless of how the team does, meaning if they fall out of the playoff race even further or if they do move closer to a wild card spot. But he does believe that the term on Eberle's potential extension could be an issue. He believes that Tomas Tatar could get flipped again, which would be interesting to see. Considering he was only traded for, I believe it was a 5th-round draft pick, it wouldn't be the biggest, surprise in the world if Ron Francis and the Kraken decided to move on from him again, considering that now he's on 4th-line minutes, and that's kind of where he was with Colorado. And teams have asked about Yanni Gourde, who you see on your screen, and have been told no, which is a good thing. So happy to hear that. it will be interesting to see what the Kraken end up doing, at the trade deadline. I really don't imagine they do a whole lot unless they just go on this horrible losing streak right now and just really fall out of it. There might be a soft sell here and there. Maybe a guy like Justin Schultz. My sources are saying they really might leave the defenseman alone at the trade deadline. So that's what I would imagine. I imagine they leave the defenseman alone, maybe a few moves here and there, but I don't think it'll be a big sell at the deadline. So looking ahead here, the Kraken sit at a 24, 22, and 11 record. That is good for 6th in the Pacific Division. Let's see where they're at in terms of standings. I believe they were 3 points out of the playoffs the last time I checked it, but this might make things even worse after their recent play. So they are, yeesh. Yeah, they're 7 points out of a spot right now. So, yeesh. Looking ahead, their next game is February 26th versus the Boston Bruins. That's a 7 o'clock start. It is also Black Hockey History Night. We will include a look at the logo and the jerseys here on your screen, as well as the artist in addition to that. So Black Hockey History Night, always really exciting to celebrate that. And they'll do so against this Boston Bruins team that you beat this, what was it? Now it's, I guess, 2 weeks ago. And they'll be looking for revenge, obviously. And the Kraken are looking to rebound after that, pretty humiliating effort against the Minnesota Wild. So it won't be easy. It'll be now the fourth game, I believe, of this. Yes, the fourth game of this 6-game homestand as we approach closer and closer to the NHL's trade deadline. From there, on Thursday, February 29th, they'll play the Pittsburgh Penguins with a 7 o'clock start. Seattle will also be looking to avenge a loss. Just a different one here against the Penguins, as the Kraken lost a little bit ago against this Penguins team, and a really bizarre one. This is a game we found out that Vince Dunn wasn't playing, Matty Beniers wasn't playing. It was that odd morning game, and the Penguins defeated the Kraken. So you're looking to bounce back there. And then to wrap things up on Saturday, March 2nd, the Kraken will play the Edmonton Oilers with a different start time, a 1 o'clock start time. So it'll be interesting to see that. The 1 o'clock start time. The Kraken historically don't do well with the early start times, so I'll be really curious to see how that will go. But, Edmonton, the Kraken have struggled against Edmonton in their existence, so you're looking to change that a little bit, essentially as well. The overbearing message for this Kraken team will be that they need to do as much as they can to continue to gain points in order to get closer in the wild card hunt. So